Welcome back to my series on all the things I wish I knew about heels dance when I started my journey. If you haven't seen the other videos, I highly suggest you check them out because they are packed with value and things that I just truly do not hear people talking about in heels classes. So today I'm going to be vulnerable with you because this topic really hits home for me. I started taking dance classes in my 20s and I do not come from a technically trained background like a lot of the other people in the classes were. Okay, I could tell people were like little prima ballerinas coming to classes and now just learning the style of heels. Or maybe they danced as a child, but then they hadn't danced for like maybe 10, 15 years and they came back to it now as an adult. And let me tell you, you can tell when a person has dance training, previous dance experience, not just because they understand the movement and their movement quality is so much different, but they have range of motion and flexibility. A girl like me just does not. So it was quite humbling for me when I first went to classes because, looking back at videos now, I realized I could totally pick up the choreography. Yeah, timing was iffy, okay, sure. But what I really lacked was the strength for a lot of the movements and the range of motion, which is mobility. I thought it was flexibility. I was like, oh, I'm not flexible, I'm not flexible. When I started taking classes, I could not even touch my toes. I mean, I still kind of struggle with it, let's be real. Actually, I can totally touch my toes. Let me just check. Because how often do you check if you could touch your toes? I mean, I'm in heels now, but okay, we touch our toes. We touch in our toes, and I'm in a heel. Okay, I can touch my toes. Sorry, just had to fact check that for real for a second. But you see, when I was in heels classes, especially doing things like floor work, I was so embarrassed to look at myself in the mirror and watch those videos. I was never posting them. They were never showing up anywhere because I felt so ashamed of the fact that I didn't have the flexibility, which, honey, is not flexibility. It is strength. So when I was on the floor, I couldn't do things like this. I couldn't do this. I couldn't hold my legs up straight with pointed toe. Obviously, I'm working hard at this move, but this was a struggle. Back in the day, it was more like this. It was more like this was what I was really trying for, but this is what I wanted and I just couldn't have. So any of these moves, even things like these moves were hard for me because I didn't have the hip strength. It's a hip flexor strength. I wasn't doing my leg lifts. I wasn't doing any clamshells. I wasn't doing these exercises that strengthen your hip flexors so that you could actually hold your legs up. Okay? It's also tight hamstrings. Okay, I have tight hamstrings and I'm working on that a lot too. So it's not just static stretching that you need. You don't just need this forever and forever and forever. You need active, dynamic exercises that help your range of motion and help your mobility. And let me tell you, it actually took me years to figure all that out because for the first 4 years that I was dancing in heels, I had no idea about range of motion, had no idea about mobility or any of those terms, didn't mean anything to me. So I still struggled. I got better at choreography, but I still lacked strength and proper mobility in those areas. And so every time I looked at my videos, I was like, I just wish I looked like everyone else. And then it wasn't until around the pandemic time that I started seeing a lot of creators outside of my just little local bubble, and I saw them post a lot of different types of classes. And I started to take a flexibility course from a friend of mine, and her way of stretching really changed my whole understanding of what flexibility really is. And I started to learn more and I started to get a little nerdy about it. And then I went to teach at an amazing studio that gave me so many tools and resources on training the beginner dancers that I was now teaching and different ways for them to engage muscle groups that we are just never really going to engage on a regular basis. And I built such a large library that not only helped me and my own body so that I could do things I could never do before, like a fan kick, wow, or give me the arm strength for a pike, but it also really made me aware of the rest of my body that I didn't think I had a problem with. My arms and how much range of motion my arms had, how much strength I had in my arms, how much I was using my arms when I danced so that I could actually make these gorgeous pictures and not just flail around instead. So there was so much for me to discover, and I discovered a lot. And then I decided, hey, I'm gonna help other people with this. The thing is that most people don't know that this is what they're missing. So I made a course. It's called the Dancer's Toolkit, and it has warm-ups that are mobility focused because let me tell you a little secret. I teach about 6 to 8 classes a week, and I do a warm-up in every single one of my classes. The same warm-up, okay, because it needs to be easy for me and my brain. And I do a large range. It's a 15-minute solid workout, and I've got everything in there. And can I tell you that with my warm-up alone, I have noticed better flexibility, bigger range of motion in my own body, just from literally doing my own warm-up. Then I was like, okay, I gotta package, I gotta share this with people because this is crazy. So my warm-up is legit, and I give you 3 different warm-ups, okay? Then I give you cool downs. Then I give you mobility drills. So many of us struggle with chest isolations and hip isolations and body rolls. So I knew I had to throw in exercises for those too. And then we come to my favorite part, the body part toolkit, which is a directory of areas of your body from head to toe that give you exercises. I'm talking 3 to 4 exercises for each of those body parts to increase range of motion and strength. Okay? But this isn't just for being a dancer. This is for longevity in your body, okay? Have you ever found exercises for your knees to keep them stronger? That's not just for heels class. That's just for you, for your body, okay? So I'm telling you, this is packed. Over 3 hours of footage, of video footage guided by me, okay, in this very studio, some of it, and I'm helping you with your mobility and strength. And I promise you, honey, if you do some of these exercises, if you make a practice for yourself, a routine for yourself that you can go back to, and if you do this once a day, even once a week, you will notice differences. And especially if you're still taking your classes, you'll realize that this is what you've always been missing. All right, if this video was helpful, share it with a friend who also is struggling with their mobility and range of motion. We love an accountability partner. And then all the information for Dancer's Toolkit is in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.